not gonna lie. Yesterday I was worn out, so I decided to tap out and not do a live show. But we are definitely back today. Hopefully y'all didn't miss me too much to where you unsubscribed. Anyways, I had a fun day today. Still a little tired, but not too tired to do a live show. Quick reminder, I know a lot of people already do it, but please hit the like button. It helps the video, even if you don't like me or you don't like the video. It helps the video hit the YouTube algorithm and gets it suggested more. And more people see it, more people click on it, and that is how you grow the audience. There you go, and I appreciate that. And I know a lot of you hit it automatically, and I appreciate y'all. Y'all know who you are, and shout out to everybody. Hey, stacking up on the mini helmets. I love it, guys. I love it. So we have an Oklahoma. Before I get to that, I will say that not the expected order of when I was going to get certain teams. Like I got LSU first, Glenville State. I wasn't expecting Glenville State at all. Let me turn this. Hold on, guys. Hold on. Which way do I need to go? Oh, this way. Hold on. There we go. That'll work. That'll work. Now we can turn this a little more that way. There you go. All right. Anyways, so the order we got them, the LSU, Glenville. Glenville's in the back. I don't quite have the room for it. But then we got Oklahoma State. And then today we got Syracuse. What? Was not expecting Syracuse. Syracuse and Florida State. LSU, Florida State, they have massive fan bases. Oklahoma State, one of the bigger fan bases in the Big 12. Syracuse, I mean, I know from the studies they have one of the biggest fan bases in the ACC, but that's more of basketball. So I was really surprised by getting the Syracuse mini helmet. I'll take it, though. I think it looks pretty good. Anyways, but yeah, I appreciate that. And not just the mini helmets, guys. You see behind me, there's a lot of stuff that you guys send that I put on the back walls. I appreciate everything. I mean, mini helmets are my favorite, but I appreciate everything. It's going to help fill the back wall. And once we reveal the master plan for the back room / back wall, whatever you want to call it, backdrop, it's going to look sweet. It is going to look sweet. Hold on one second. It seems like every time I go live, my freaking cat messes with something that makes noise. Hold on. Like, I'm telling you right now, this might not seem like possible or whatever, but my cats are like for real jealous of my live shows. Every time I go live, they do something to make noise. Seriously? I got 2 cats, by the way. Stop. They're jerks when I have a live show, guys. Jerks. Love them to death, but they are jerks when I go live. Anyways, yeah, I appreciate everything that everybody sends. I mean, it's gotten to where every time I check my P.O. box, there's something there, and I'm like, man, that's pretty awesome. Wasn't expecting that. So great reaction, great turnout, whatever you want to call it. And Patreon page. Week 3 of our score prediction contest. Week 1 was winner was Daniel Brazen. Weeks 2 was Cowboy. Gummit. Can't think of his name right. Cowboy Country. There it is. Cowboy Country. So who's week 3 going to be? I don't know. But if you want a shot to win that $20, and you can win as many times as you want, join the Patreon page. You can join for as little as $2 an hour. And let me go ahead and put in the StreamYard link because, as is customary, I forgot to do it right off the bat. So, give me 1 second, guys. Working on it. Make sure I don't miss any keys, all that good stuff. These keystrokes for these live streams are very, very weird. and always different, of course, which is a good thing. All right, I think I got it down. Yeah, there we go. All right, so you want to join the show? StreamYard. I mean, it's basically a call-in show, but instead of joining like calling in, you're joining through StreamYard. So let's do it that way. Jeff, if you're in the chat, come on. Tim, if you're in the chat, come on. Anybody that wants to come on and talk college football, let's go. Especially, I wanted to talk about, and Jeff brought it up. I haven't really done that much research on it. So I want to get some more information as far as what went down and what's going on. Hold on. So I heard, I think it was Jeff that told me, I heard that the Pac-12 and Amazon are actually working on a deal. I don't know how big the deal is. I see you, Kenny. Hey, Kenny, what's going on, buddy?
Hey, how you doing, GBD?
I'm doing pretty good, man. Staying busy. Joey, is that you? There he is. There he is. You never know who's going to come in as imposter Joey. You never know. You never know. Reminder everybody, please hit the like button. It helps the video a lot. And if you have a question for me or any of my guests, or you just have a comment or a troll, you want to make fun of us, best way to get our attention in the chat section is to hit the super chat button. That is that little $ that you see on your bottom right-hand corner. Anything you put in that super chat, we will put it on the screen, and we will read it, answer it to the best of our ability, or, talk about it, whatever. You want to brag about a win or trash talk somebody's team and you want it on the screen? That's how you do it right there. Gentlemen, how's your week going so far?
What is going on?
Not much.
Things are going
not
good.
much. Which, by the way, I know I have several Oregon State subscribers. I think Oregon State should be ranked. I have them in my top 15. The fact that they're not ranked at all in the AP top 25 blows my mind because they have beaten Boise State convincingly at home. And then they just went on the road and beat a good Fresno State. How are the Beavers not ranked? I have absolutely no idea.
I agree with that. I agree with that. They should be ranked. They should.
Yeah, it's absolutely a tragedy.
But Texas coming off a loss is ranked. What? Okay. I understand. You just went toe-to-toe with the number 1 ranked team. You only lost by 1 point. Gave them a scare. You led in the fourth quarter. That's a big deal. I understand that. And I wouldn't have any problem ranking Texas after they beat UTSA. And I think they will, convincingly. After a win, I'm okay with that. I just don't like ranking a team from non-ranked to ranked after a loss. I don't like it. I don't agree with it.
I think they have a hangover. I think they have a hangover, and I believe that UTSA might edge them because they beat other Power 5 teams.
UTSA is not as good this year, though. Have you seen their production? It's not good.
That's not going to happen. I think the big upset this weekend is going to be when Kansas beats Houston.
That would be great. That would make me feel better. I think that Texas does have a hangover, which makes the game closer, but they would have to have one heck of a hangover to lose to UTSA. That they are not playing like the UTSA that they did last year. If they were playing last year's UTSA, then I would say there's a significant chance of the upset. But UTSA is not playing good at all right now. Not at all.
Yeah, I can agree with that. But I just know their history. I mean, they have been ones to upset when people didn't think they would upset somebody. The saying, beware.
Right. I understand that.
You didn't have West Virginia in your preseason rankings, did you?
Me?
Yeah.
I think I did actually, like 24.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, 23, 24, something like that. Yeah, I knew their offense was going to be much better, which it is, but I didn't expect their defense to take a big step back. So, Holy crap! Loaded Blue was wrong about something, right?
Yeah.
Not the
Well,
first
I don't
time,
know,
but the
man.
last
It's
time.
minor mistakes they can make up that would change the whole outcome of the game.
Well, except for
You know,
Kansas, it wasn't
Look at it this
for
way,
Kansas.
every
It wasn't
single
a
year,
minor mistake. Their defense was just playing really, really bad. I see Jeff. My bad, Jeff.
every single year they've had Texas ranked every single year. So you getting West Virginia wrong when you're, the AP's
Right,
got stuff wrong
exactly.
every year. So
Exactly.
Well, they come out flat, man. That's no development on defense. So that's Jordan Leslie's fault. He should have more fire under their butts to get them out there to play a predator game instead of a prey game.
Yeah, I agree. What makes me agree with that more is the backyard brawl call, 4th and 6 inches and not going for it. And then in the post game defending it, like if I would have done that 100 times, I would make the same call. Then that's the problem. You're not making decisions in the moment based on momentum, based on field position, based on the score, based on a bunch of things other than, it's 4th and whatever, and we have a better chance of stopping them if we punt it away. Of course you do. Of course. But if you get that first down, you have a real shot of icing the game. If we get the first down and even just get a field goal right there, we'd probably be able to milk the clock down to 2 minutes, 2.5 minutes, something like that, and go up by 10. That's pretty close to icing the game right there.
Yeah, but see here, I think this too. I'm sorry, Joey. I think this
fine.
too. I think that Neil Brown has not gave the reins completely over to Graham Harold, and that's why you see all this conservative play.
Well, and the 4th
he
and 6
needs
was
to hand
Neil
the
Brown.
reins over.
The 4th and 6 was Neil Brown. Graham Harrell would have gone for it. I have no doubt about that. No doubt about that.
That's why he should hand the reins over to Graham Harold and let Graham Harold run that offense.
Yeah, because what was the problem the first 3 years? No offense. Why? Because he was calling it, or he gave the play calling duties over to somebody that didn't know what he was doing. Well, Graham Harold knows what he's doing, and it's like Neil Brown has given him 80, maybe 85% of the control. But 4th and 6, no, that's my call. We're punting it. I like the percentages on that. Bad decision.
Especially when you're averaging 10 yards a carry, in the second half.
Yep.
I want to go back to the Oregon State thing and not being ranked. I think what it is, it's just perception. They're going to have, it's like Kansas and Vanderbilt would have the same trouble getting ranked too, just so many years of being down. And, they're going to have to battle and win a couple more games to really take notice.
But it shouldn't be like that, though.
No, it shouldn't be.
Yeah, but there
shouldn't be. Yeah.
There should be a fire under Neil Brown's butt so high that he would take more chances.
You would think, right? Absolutely. I 100% agree with that. That was well said. Like, that's what blows my mind. I'm like, do you not, like, is his seat really not, like, is he really that okay with Shane Lyons that Shane Lyons like, you can miss a bowl, buddy, you're good. Don't worry about it. Because that's what it seems like. Like, if I thought that my job was in jeopardy, like, I would be trying to win games, not just like, I think we should punt on this, percentages, blah, blah, blah. I know he wants to go for it on this, but I'm taking over. We're punting. And then, of course, looking at the defense on this past Saturday against Kansas, I mean, they were sleepwalking out there. I mean, if your job is in jeopardy and you're about to lose to Kansas, you should get on their rear ends and be like, what are you doing out there?
Well, I mean, wait. If they lose to Townsend, you watch the boosters. They'll rock him out of
that's not happening. That would be and I know we acted the same way with Kansas, but Kansas really is much improved, and our defense was sleepwalking. But Towson, that's a whole different. Like, West Virginia's not losing that game. Like, I would bet the house on that one. Seriously.
I mean, they play the same game as Texas. They play the same game as Kansas.
If they play the same game as Kansas, they would still beat Towson by at least 2 touchdowns. The talent gap is too big, insurmountable.
What's all this stuff in chat about Frost coming to West Virginia? Scott Frost, West Virginia. WU really wants Frost.
I hope not, because that's that's a lateral step at best. I don't necessarily think that would be a step backwards, but lateral at best.
Frost is not going to take another coaching job right away. He might go to an OC job or an analyst somewhere, but he's not going to be a head coach right away.
Yeah, Nick Saban will hire him as an analyst. That's where he'll end up.
I mean, why not Tommy Bowden? Why not Tommy Bowden? Somebody offer him, see if he'll come out of retirement to come to WVU.
I don't think Tommy Bowden's a good choice. He was very up and down, but he's too inconsistent of a coach. It's kind of like
I'm not done with Neil Brown yet.
Are you talking about Tommy or Terry?
I'm talking about Tommy.
No,
I'm talking about Tommy, the one that retired.
No, Tommy, heck no. Terry, I would consider, but still, that would be reluctant. But Tommy, no, he was not a good head coach at all. Sorry.
The problem with Neil Brown, though,
I'm still okay with
Neil Brown needs to read the book Analytics. I'm an old guy. I don't agree with a lot of the analytics, but let me tell you what, these new coaches are using the formulas in that, and they tell you when to go for it on fourth down, when to go for it. I mean,
yeah, that's his
what
problem.
I can't figure out. He talks about that all the time. That he's an analytic guy. He talks about that quite often. That he's an analytic guy.
That's why I put it on 4th and 6 when we should have went for it. That actually stood in the way for that game.
Yeah, if he works out the mistakes, and he has a good 4 games, he might be in better footing. But he's going to have to really step it up.
Yeah, I agree with that. I see you, Packer. I'm putting you on, buddy.
But can I ask you guys, do you really think
hold on, Jeff. I want to ask you something, Jeff. Earlier, you messaged me about the Pac-12 and Amazon possibly making a deal.
Yes, it is very close right now. Pac-12 and Amazon have been talking for the last week and a half, really serious. And from what I'm hearing, they're within, by Monday or Tuesday, they're within 72 hours of coming up with an agreement. It's going to be a short agreement. It's only going to be between 5 and 6 years. Everybody in the Pac-12 is on board with it, is what I understood. If you
Amazon or Apple?
Amazon. I heard that Apple is in negotiations with the Big 12.
Amazon TV is big right now. So, yeah, that's very...
I've been hearing that Apple's in talks with the Pac-12, and that
Apple.
ESPN, coming up a few $100 million short on their offer to the Pac-12, but that they may not let this slide through. They might come in higher.
Yeah, no, Apple was in negotiations, but with what I'm hearing, Amazon has now taken the lead, and Apple is now going to focus on the Big 12 because they feel like, I don't know if it come down to like Fox and ESPN with the Big 10, the money just didn't seem right to Apple and they're stepping away and leaving it to Amazon or what. But I do know with everything else going on, if you watch Twitters, from all the big guys and that, you watch the news, they're not looking at breaking away from the NCAA now. That was brought up and been reported nationally.
Because of the antitrust lawsuits, right?
Right. And now because of the antitrust lawsuits, the Pac-12 is going to stay together for 5 to 7 years.
Right.
Because the Big Ten don't want to expand right now, and the SEC can't really expand right now because of the ACC. So everything's kind of on hold. So it looks like all these leagues are going to stay where they're at they're still going to negotiate behind the scenes, but I don't think you're going to see movement you're not going to see it for at least 5 years.
Right. That makes sense. I just wanted to get your take on that because I haven't looked into that, and I was thinking about doing a video on it. So I wanted to kind of get a perspective on what I need to keep my eyes out if I want to do a video on that.
And if you'd like, I can
guess who's about to step in? Guess who's about to step in? Shooter.
I can send you some. I'll send you some messages after this show and show you where I got all my information.
Okay.
So if you want to do a video, you can have the pages to put up on the screen to show where your sources are.
Okay. Awesome. I would appreciate that.
I seen somebody in the chat asking how to join Patreon. Just go to patreon.com/golden blue dude. And you'll have different levels that'll come up and ask you which level you'd like to join. There's $2, there's $5, $10, $20. You join whatever level you want. And join for as little as $2 a month. I'll have a Patreon show tonight at 10 o'clock. It's going to be my last Thursday night Patreon show. I'm going to move it to Sunday. We're going to do a live show from 3 to about 4:30 on YouTube live. Then we're going to go over to Patreon for about an hour and do a Patreon live on every Sunday.
That'll be good, like a reaction live show. I like it.
Yeah.
So let's move on to the games of Saturday. And this past Saturday, we had a bunch of upsets that nobody, including myself, really thought about. I mean, let me rephrase this. It's usual for me to do worse at the beginning of the season as far as my spread picks than like the middle and the end, because at the beginning you're kind of guessing on, how you think teams are going to perform and, their opponents. It's a lot of guessing in the beginning. So last week was my first week on my score prediction videos, and I went 7-10, which is actually not that bad for the first week. I remember last year, week 5, I went like 5-12, 5-13, something like that. It was a horrible week, but I always do much better later in the year to where I was able to rebound back to where the average was around 70%. So 7-10, not a great start. Hopefully we'll have a little bit better. I'm not expecting like a great week, but breaking even would be great this early in the year. So is there any big, I'm not talking about these little, 3-point, 5-point spreads. Is there any big upsets out there involving ranked teams that maybe we're not seeing that seems like a real possibility? At first, I looked at number 20 Ole Miss at Georgia Tech. The line is Ole Miss is favored by 16.5. It is on the road, but the production of Georgia Tech is really, really bad. They're actually one of my 10 worst teams after week 2 as of right now, because they're only averaging 22.5 a game. That's 99th, and they're allowing 29 a game. That's 90th. And Ole Miss, 28th in offense and 8th in defense. Is there any possible way that the Techies of Georgia, the Yellow Jackets, upset Ole Miss?
No, I don't think so.
No, I think Georgia Tech is better this year than they have been, but
still bad.
I don't see them stopping that Ole Miss offense. That's the problem. They might be able to put up, Georgia Tech will put up some points, but I don't think they can compete with Ole Miss's offense.
Right.
The two upsets I'm looking at for this weekend, the two upsets that I'm looking at, which I've already mentioned, one was Kansas and Houston. I think Kansas could upset Houston. But the other one is Texas Tech and NC State. I think Texas Tech could upset NC State.
100% agree with that, because I don't trust Dave Doran when it comes to these big games and his offensive play calling. The defense is going to be solid no matter what. Right now they're 14th in points allowed and 28th in scoring, but Tech is 12th in scoring. Not a great defense, but not bad, allowing 20 points per game. I think that's a good enough defense to go on the road. And if they can keep NC State under 30 points, which knowing NC State they can, I think Texas Tech has a real shot of beating NC State. And a quick preview, I'm going to do my spread prediction video, but I'm going to tell you right off the bat, I am taking Texas Tech in the points on that. I didn't predict the upset straight up, but I am taking the Red Raiders with the 10 points.
Now, the other upset I think you might be able to see, and I'm not picking it, but BYU and Oregon. That game could be really interesting, depending on which Oregon team shows up.
Yeah, I have. I mean, that's a mild upset. I have it as an upset. BYU doesn't scare on the road. They won some big road games last year. Oregon got thumped by Georgia in their first game. There's a lot of issues. I know maybe it's just Georgia is that good, but I think Oregon is also that bad. And I think the Oregon fans are really going to be mad after this game because I think BYU does go on the road and upset Oregon. I do.
I still think Oregon will win.
I think the defensive front line of BYU is going to tear Bo Nix up.
Well, not only that, but Oregon's defense is horrible right now. I mean, they're allowing 31.5 points a game. And I know, some of that was Georgia, but still, that is not good. Not good at all. And then their offense isn't that good either. BYU smokes them in both statistics. It's not like, Oregon has the edge on one side and BYU has the edge on the other side. No, BYU has the edge on both sides of the ball.
So is BYU, is Oregon favored in that game?
3.5.
Wow. Yeah. I'd take the points.
Well, what they're doing is, so the home team, this is how Vegas thinks. The home team gets 11 points off the bat, okay? And then they look at the matchups and see if the road sways it past that. And apparently, BYU is good, but it only sways it about 7.5.
Yeah,
so that 3.5 is home field. I mean, literally, it's home field.
Has anybody talked about? Oh, go ahead, Tim.
Oh, I was going to say, Oregon being a home dog, I think only is based on the fact that, Kalani Sitake's got something great going on over there at BYU. I think that it's a tip of the hat to coaching staffs. I'm not saying that Oregon. I'm saying they got a young coaching staff there, and so I even making them a home dog is kind of a slap in the face at Autzen. I know that Puddles, which is the.
I thought Oregon was the favorite. Did I read that wrong?
No, Oregon's 3.5-point dog.
Dadgummit, I wrote that down wrong.
I read it wrong. I thought they were favored. I'm sorry. Then
Oregon's minus 3.5, not plus 3.5.
Oh yeah, my bad. You're right. You guys are both right. Sorry, I'm sorry. I didn't see it that way as well.
No problem.
So you guys are saying BYU as the upset. My bad. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I'm taking BYU in the upset.
Yeah, but I'm saying even the reason why I think it's even that close is one. Yes. I think people are overreacting to the Georgia thing. They came back and they just hammered, maybe even a little too mercilessly, Eastern Washington. But they're gonna put up points. I just think it's an issue with having a young coaching staff going against it. Again, I think Kalani Sitake, man, he's gonna be a hot name. He has been in the past. I can see him getting some looks around the country for a head coaching position. So
yeah, it looks like people are, according to M. Morris, it looks like people are putting money on BYU because the spread has gone from 6 to 3.5. So I guess a lot of people are seeing that. I would still probably take BYU with the 6 because I think they can beat Oregon by a touchdown. Now that's a bigger stretch, but 3.5, it's not that much of a stretch because that's still more than a field goal.
Yeah, but BYU's getting the points. I would take BYU in 6 points all day for all I had.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a little tighter with 3, but I'll take it. I'll take it straight up.
I'm glad you said that because I said it wrong that time. My gosh.
So I was pretty high on Miami on the money line until
the
day that they lost their top receiver.
Well, and a lot of people are saying that Texas A&M didn't take Appalachian State seriously. That's why they lost. That's not true. Go back to the Sam Houston State game. Texas A&M is not a very good football team. I mean, they're going to have, a winning season and get to a bowl, but they're not like unbeatable at home. I think Miami is going to go into College Station and beat the Aggies. I really do.
I felt like that until they announced that their number one receiver's out indefinitely. And they don't have anybody else that stepped up. Their number 2 receiver's like 60 or 70 yards behind the number 1 guy in receiving yards. And
but the thing is, Texas A&M can't score. And Miami has a much better defense this year. Like Miami's defense compared to Appalachian State's is a significant step up.
Yeah, but it's almost like if you can't run the ball, and I really don't see Miami running the ball against Texas A&M the way they've run it the first 2 weeks against lesser competition, and you don't have a receiver step up, It'd be like Iowa. What you said in your video about Iowa, if we give up a touchdown, we lose.
Yep.
So
let me ask you this. So do you think that Miami cannot score 21 points? Because I think if Miami scores 21 points, they win the game. Do you think that Miami is not going to be able to score 21?
I think they can score 21. I just don't know if they've got the receivers. If they can't make the defense honor the pass, if they can't take the top off and stretch the field, A&M's going to field a box. They're not going to run the ball, and it's going to be a long day for Tyler Van Dyke.
But here's the problem with A&M. I went back and watched that game. I rewatched that game. They do not have effort right now. There was no effort in that game. They had players constantly out of position.
Mm-hmm.
It was
kind of like West Virginia against Kansas.
Yeah, I mean, it was an effort game. They played for 3 years.
I'm gonna drop myself down for a second.
What about this super chat? Mayhem Matthew Football, thank you for the $4.99 donation. Says, GBD, you need to watch my YouTube short of you. Good stuff. I definitely will. Everybody in the chat, don't leave yet and watch that short. Wait till the end of the show, and then you can go watch it.
So another potential upset. Have y'all talked about Old Dominion at Virginia?
No, I have not. I haven't actually seen that one. So.
I don't know what the points are, but I'd be pretty tempted to take Old Dominion on that one.
I'm not sure. I put Virginia Tech and Virginia both in my worst 10 teams for after week 2. So, I mean, that's believable, but it is on the road. That might be the one thing that would swing it.
Old Dominion's getting 8.5.
What? Wow. Yep. Where's that game being played?
Scott Stadium.
So it's being played in Virginia and they're still getting the points. Wow.
Yeah.
Old Dominion's getting the points.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
So I'd take those points. I'd take Old Dominion. Yeah.
Hold on one second, guys. Let me check that. So
I'd find out what the odds are straight up, and I'd take Old
Virginia
straight up.
Virginia is the 8.5 point favorite. So yeah, I would definitely take the points for sure.
Yeah.
I think that's too much.
Yeah. Other than those games, I don't know what else you could call an upset, really. I mean,
here's an under the radar game involving 2 non-ranked teams that I think could be pretty good. Purdue at Syracuse.
Yeah.
Now, if Syracuse beats Purdue, can they get ranked? Because they beat Louisville in the first week soundly, and then Louisville beat UCF pretty soundly. It is in the Dome. They are a 1.5 point favorite, which that might not be enough. Well, that's a pick 'em anyways. I think they win by at least a touchdown. I think Purdue's okay. If this was at Purdue, I'd probably take Purdue, but this is in the Dome. This has the potential of Syracuse absolutely rocking Purdue.
And especially after how Syracuse started the year. I mean, if they play like they did, they will beat Purdue at home.
Jeff, just for information purposes, Old Dominion's plus 260.
Plus 260. So if you want to take Old Dominion on the line, if you lay $100, you win. Let me do the math here.
260.
I mean 1,000, 2,600.
Yeah.
It's not a bad bet.
I'll tell you the game I would bet on this week.
Yeah.
Washington is going to beat Michigan State.
Stole my thunder, man. Close. You stole my thunder. I have Michigan State taking a step back this year, and that's one of their losses. They haven't been convincing. And Washington actually looks even better than what I thought they would. I thought they'd be, slight bounce back, get to a bowl. But, I mean, they're 11th in points production and 28th on defense as far as allowing points. They score 48.5. They're averaging 48.5 and allowing 13. That's a good football team right there. I know you got to take opponents into consideration, but I think they've played decent enough opponents to where those numbers have some legitimacy to them. And Michigan State has not looked good at all. Their defense is pretty stout, but their offense is good. But I think Washington's is a little bit better.
Sorry, I dropped myself down for a second, so I don't know if you mentioned this game or not. Penn State and Auburn. Did y'all talk about that?
Not yet.
Auburn's Auburn's a 3-point
Auburn.
favorite in that. I don't see. I think I got Penn State.
I think Penn State will upset them.
Penn State's favored by 3.
I thought it was Auburn.
Golden Booted, are you sticking with your
No,
preseason
Penn State
prediction this weekend? Are you sticking with your preseason prediction this weekend?
Yeah, I
South Carolina
actually made
upsetting Georgia.
Yeah, I actually made a video on it earlier, and what I said in the video is, am I sticking with it? Yes. Do I have confidence in it? Nope, not at all. Nope. I don't think it's going to happen, but it's I got to lock it in.
Are you talking about your 9-3 prediction, or
no? The South Carolina upsetting Georgia, 24.5 point favorite.
Hey, can't nobody say you won't go down with the ship.
Yeah, I have to. Well, and with that prediction, I did say I expected Arkansas to blast South Carolina at home, and that's not going to really affect my prediction. That happened, but what I didn't expect is to see Georgia to be as good as they are. Now I'm like, oh crap.
Yeah.
What about Florida State laying 2.5 at Louisville tomorrow night?
I'd take Louisville.
I think I would take the Cards. They looked pretty good against UCF on the road.
I think that's going to be a really good game, and I ain't putting no money on it either way.
They had to block a extra point to beat LSU, and that was at a neutral site. So I think I'm going to have to take.
Come on now.
I think I'm going to have to take Louisville.
It might have been a neutral site on paper, and it wasn't Death Valley at night, but that was not a neutral site game.
Well, yes, and I agree with that. But there is a significant difference between being at a venue and having the majority of the fans and being at your home stadium. Like it really is different, and it makes. I do agree with what you're saying, but this is going to be a true road game, and Louisville's coming off a pretty good win over UCF. That crowd is going to be jacked. Mayhem Matthew, thank you for the $4.99 donation. Says GBD, you need to watch my. Oh,
you didn't put the other one up.
I didn't click on the other one. My bad. Willie Taggart has a better record than Jimbo Fisher at Texas A&M. I was thinking of Kevin Sumlin as well. I think Kevin Sumlin in his career has looked better than Jimbo up to this point. Now, I know he's talking about like this year, Willie Taggart has a better record than Jimbo Fisher, and that is hilarious. But a lot of people have brought up Kevin Sumlin and how he got fired for having the same type of records that Jimbo is having right now.
Through 50 games, Sumlin had one more win.
Yep.
Yes, people are not real, and Jimbo convinced A&M to put out all this money, and they fired Kevin Sumlin for having the same amount of wins. In fact, one more win now that they lost to Appalachian State, and they're shoveling more money to a dude that's doing this. You could have kept Kevin Sumlin and not be shoveling out as much money to be having the same type of success, maybe even more. Texas A&M might be headed backwards. How does Jimbo keep fooling people, guys? Like how?
Hey, I joined late, but what do y'all think of Scott Frost going to A&M as an offensive coordinator?
Not going to happen.
Wouldn't surprise me because Jimbo's making stupid decisions, but it'd be bad.
Talk about throwing away money.
Yeah.
So,
Mayhem says he meant Kevin Sumlin. Yeah. Okay, I got you.
Hey, I got to bounce, but I just want to say, who's putting money on Fresno State this weekend?
Who are they playing?
USC.
No, I got.
Go ahead, throw your money away. Go right ahead.
I wouldn't even take the points.
No, you'd have to give me like 28.
Yeah, like that line actually surprises me. But every time I say that, it is close. I'm like, what did they see that I didn't see? Because that line doesn't make sense. But it'll probably end up being like a 10-point win by USC.
No, it makes sense because you got to remember Hayner's on the other side of the field. You got Jeff Tedford. They're no strangers to the Coliseum. Tedford, Hayner's a gamer. They're going to move the ball on USC because USC through 2 games it wasn't a fluke. Teams are moving the ball on the ground against USC. I don't think they're going to cover, but I do think that they put up 24 to maybe even 30 points. But USC will outscore them.
Yeah.
Well, USC really impressed me by going on the road and being Stanford, and then Fresno State's coming off that home loss against Oregon State. That's why I thought the line should be at least 14.5 to cover 2 touchdowns.
Pump your brakes on Stanford.
So
they were a bad team last year, and they're a bad team this year. I see Stanford finishing.
Yeah, but they're a rival. That's what happened last year.
Well, what happened last year was a poorly coached football team. This is just the different. Just because we were really bad doesn't go away from the fact that they were 3-9 bad as well.
Right.
Yeah, Stanford's not a very good team.
But they also beat Oregon too, so I mean they're unpredictable.
Yeah, that's true.
So you wanted to know about any possible big upsets this weekend. I think Oklahoma traveling to Nebraska, Oklahoma 10.5 point favorite. I think that's a possibility. Last year was a good close game, and
Nebraska might cover, but they won't win that game.
Yeah,
I was going to ask you about that. I was ask about spread. I don't see that at all. Nebraska is not a bad football team. Oklahoma is a good football team. I don't see how on earth that game's going to stay close. I mean, they have it. Yeah, you said 10.5. I see 11. I'm laying those points with Oklahoma all day long. Why on earth? I mean, I don't see that even remotely being an issue.
When I did mine, it was Oklahoma.
Well, you got to go back. You got to go back to the old Big 12 when Nebraska was in the Big 12 to see some rival games between them two because they play it hard on the field when they play.
Yeah, but nobody on the field was alive back then, so it don't matter. Hate to say it.
I do get what he says, but Oklahoma, another sneak peek into my spread pick video. I laid the 11 on my video, so I do agree with Tim on this one.
I mean, even the thing is people think there's gonna be some fresh start, re-energized. Interim coaches are interim coaches for a reason. They're not head coaches for a reason. Do you know what I mean?
Did USC have a fresh start with their interim last year?
It's just because we played some weak competition. Then when we got into the meat and potatoes, it was exposed.
Right.
And our interim, well, I mean,
no.
ours was pretty bad because we made that. There were some guys that had some head coaching experience, and for some whatever reason, they made a cornerbacks coach who's never been a head coach or even a coordinator, the head coach, and that was just a mess. So, but I mean, in general, interim coaches aren't going to fare well. And I mean, I know Venables and staff are new, but they're talk about Oklahoma.
I mean. And Nebraska, like John says in the chat, they lost to Georgia Southern at home, and they lost to Northwestern, who got beat soundly by Duke. I mean, it's not like they barely lost to, like Alabama or Ohio State or whoever. They lost to freaking Northwestern and Duke. Like, I just don't. How can that be on just, like, I know Scott Frost is not a good coach at Nebraska. And he's had a bunch of close losses. I understand that. But losing to 2 bad teams, could that be just only strictly the coach?
Yeah,
I don't
because
think
of
so.
recruiting.
Yeah,
because
I think
the
it comes down
recruiting,
to
his
everything.
recruiting is terrible, So, but the thing with Nebraska is, and I agree, Oklahoma's going to carry this game, but Nebraska will score points because that offense does score. I mean, that offense is not that bad.
Right. Shane M 1980, thank you for the $5 donation. He says, if A&M loses to Miami, I see a major tailspin happening. I think it's the way it needs to go. And see, Texas A&M already dropped, number 24. If you're talking about for Texas A&M and coaching and all that stuff, I agree. But if you're talking about rankings and how it affects the playoffs, actually, that's probably what they want right now because Miami's already highly ranked. They bumped A&M all the way down. They would just get knocked out. Miami would go up higher. It's good for college football for Miami to be good again. So tailspin for college football, no. But tailspin for Texas A&M, you better believe it. Rumors will start a-flying. Well, they already are.
So I'll tell you another game that I'm gonna be watching.
The problem
weekend.
with Texas A&M is that Texas plays Miami,
Fresno State, and USC. Because Rice was able to move the ball against USC. I mean, I know USC blew them away and stuff, and Fresno State, they're going to be able to move the ball against that Alex Grinch defense. So
you do have the live thing all the way to live, right, Joey?
Huh?
I said you have the little bar all the way to live, right?
Well, I'm on StreamYard, so I guess why what's wrong. I was off for a while, so I missed y'all talking about things.
Yeah, that's why I was kind of giving you a rib right there because we had just talked about that when you were off. That's why I said that.
Oh, okay. Sorry, I didn't hear you. Well, if I'd have been here, I would have said that would be my biggest. That would be my big upset for this weekend. I'm calling that upset. Fresno State to beat USC.
Joey, keep your money in your pocket, buddy. Because
Don't do it, man. Don't do it.
they're
Yeah,
gonna.
save that.
I was told that last week. I was told that last week about Appalachian State and Texas A&M as well to keep my money in my pocket.
USC's 2 for 2 covering so far, and they're probably.
You were actually thinking about putting it on Appalachian State for real?
I did put it on Appalachian State last week.
You should have tipped me off, man. I could have used that some extra money, man. You holding out on me, man.
I talked about it all week. But that would be the game to watch. Appalachian State has a good shot of upsetting Texas A&M.
I'm thinking about taking Western Michigan into 10 points against Pitt.
No, Western Michigan is a special kind of bad right now. They're not the same. They're not the same Western Michigan that they were last year. I think Pitt. I think last year Pitt was kind of just meandering and underestimated them. I mean, Pitt went on to win the ACC. Western Michigan went on to do not really anything, and they're even worse this year. And I know the spread is the way it is because of what happened last year. But I think Pitt blows them out. I really do. Because I was thinking about that whenever I did my spread picks, but then I looked at Western Michigan. They're averaging 25 a game and allowing 32.5. Both of those is right around 100. That's really, really bad. Really, really bad. And considering the teams that they've played makes it even worse. So Pitt's averaging about 8 points more than that per game. So I don't think Pitt's going to have any issues. I really don't.
Hey, can I mention something about A&M?
Yep.
The problem with A&M is they play Miami this week.
Okay.
Win or lose, they play Arkansas next week.
Mm-hmm.
Then they play Mississippi State, and then they play Alabama. So there's 4 games that they realistically could lose all 4.
I think they go 3-4 right there. I think they can beat Mississippi State. But still, 3-4, that's not good.
Well, did they get Keaton back on Pitt?
I'm not sure about that. That's a good question. I know they were down to Patty right there towards the end, and even he was hobbling. So they could be a little banged up at quarterback. I'm just saying, I think Western Michigan is so bad that Pitt's just going to outclass them. They might have to run the ball way more than usual, but they're so much bigger. And this game is going to be won in the trenches, and Pitt's front line on both sides is so much bigger and so much stronger than Western Michigan's. That's where I see the biggest difference. So even if they don't have Slovis back there, and even if Patty's still hobbling, I think they'll run the ball a lot, and they really won't have any issues. And then on the flip side, Western Michigan won't be able to exploit the weakness of the Pitt defense, which is the secondary, because they like to run the ball more, and Pitt's going to stuff it. So I think Pitt will be able to shorten the game and just I think this is going to be a wear them out type of game, not a shoot them out, but a wear them out to where they're going to run, and that defense is going to be gassed by halftime. Western Michigan's defense is going to be gassed by halftime.
I need to run off here. I do want to say something before I go, though. We're still looking for Cowboy Country Oklahoma State fan who won the trail.
I messaged him. Yeah.
And okay, good. So I thought we'd give him till tomorrow, but if you message him, we'll give him a few more days. But
yeah, I saw him. He messaged one of my videos, and I said, "Hey, you need to email us so we can see that trail cam." But
okay,
haven't seen anything.
Oh, okay, good deal. All right, great. Well, I'm gonna hop off here. I'll keep listening, but I've got to go. So we will talk to everybody later, and don't forget Patreon show tonight at 10:00 over on the Patreon page.
Oh, good.
And hopefully everybody can join us. All right, thanks, guys.
All right, man. Later, buddy. Appreciate it. Anybody have any questions or comments, or a troll? You want to make fun of us? Leave moms out of it. I'm serious. I don't want to go through that again. Best way to get our attention is super chat button. Like you see right here with Shane M 1980, it is that little dollar sign you see on the bottom right-hand corner. Anything you put in that super chat, we throw it on the screen just like we did with Shane M 1980. And even if you're trying to make fun of me, we appreciate you supporting the show so much that even if you're making fun of me, I'll read it. That's a heck of a deal, guys. What do you think?
Oh, yeah.
GBD, you've been high on Hugh Freeze. Liberty's getting 16.5 at Wake Forest this weekend.
Yeah, and I agree with that because
That's an awesome
Wake Forest offense is really, really good with Sam Hartman. I think it's going to be closer than that, but I don't think Liberty's going to win. And it's not, and that doesn't change my opinion on Hugh Freeze because the fact remains he brought Liberty from a place where not many people even knew that Liberty had a football team to, now people have been talking about Liberty and how Hugh Freeze is making a comeback. So I think he will absolutely start being a hot name in the next year or so. And I would be okay with him being at West Virginia. It looks like he's grown up and has moved on from the shenanigans that he, was dealing with at Ole Miss. And even with that, evil Hugh Freeze and angel Hugh Freeze, both of them win football games. So, even him shedding the evil didn't affect his winning on the field. And I say shedding. I don't know if he actually shed it. It might come back. You never know. But we haven't heard anything. And we see that Liberty is a good football team for what they are.
Well, I think if there was any dirt on him now, he wouldn't be at Liberty.
Right. I agree.
But you got to admire a man.
You never know.
You got to admire a man that'll coach a game from a hospital bed in the press box.
Yeah. I think he definitely loves the game. Honestly, my top two that I want, Golden Blue Dude, would be Tom Herman and Hugh Freeze. Those are the two names that I would want West Virginia to absolutely pursue if we do indeed get rid of Neil Brown. 100%.
What about a dive?
Anytime the athletic director comes out and gives you a vote of confidence when the fan base is raising hell, he's going to see the writing on the wall. He can get rid of Neil Brown or the next guy will.
Right. Yeah, there you go. Absolutely. And somebody brought up Jamil Adai. I would bring in Jamil Adai as the defensive coordinator, not the head coach. So it would be a really cool combo if we got Tom Herman for the head coach and then bring back Jamil Adai for a defensive coordinator. I don't think he's ready for a head coaching position, but when he was at West Virginia, I think he should have been promoted to DC and not Jordan Leslie, and certainly not Tony Gibson. He wasn't bad. He was actually pretty decent, but if you look at the path that Jamil Adai has taken, every stinking defense that he's went to has taken a significant step forward immediately. And I know he's just the defensive backs coach, assistant coach, not the defensive coordinator, but there has to be some fire where that smoke is. I mean, whenever we went to Arizona, their defense got immediately better. West Virginia's defense went from piss poor to top 5. I mean, then it goes on to Georgia, and they have a historically great defense. And Miami's defense is looking really, really good. So I think there's something to that. I mean, let me look it up real quick. I thought I had it right in front of me. Miami is – there we go. Miami is allowing 10 points a game right now. That's 17th. How good was – and I know it's only after week 2. I understand that. And competition, all that stuff. But Miami's defense last year was a liability for them. And it's gone from a liability to at least above average. I know that number is probably going to come down because of the competition that they play. But I think that Miami finishes no lower than a top 30, top 40 defense. And that's a huge improvement from last year, Savage Dog, thank you for the $5 donation. Says, great content. Appreciate you. Golden Blue Dude. Also enjoyed talking football with you at the softball game. Keep it up. Absolutely. Absolutely. I enjoyed that too. Even though we do a fair amount of trash talk, we know that it's not personal. We don't get personal. We trash talk about each other's team. It's fun, and I love it. And you can ask anybody. I will talk college football here on my channel. I'll talk college football while I'm eating dinner with my wife, which she hates. I'll talk college football while we're swimming at the pool, and they hate it. Anywhere I
Hey,
go,
Tim.
I will talk college football, and that's why I have this channel, because it's an outlet.
So Jeff,
Yeah.
You there, Jeff? Jefferoni? Jeff. You there, buddy?
Look like he's froze.
Yeah, I think
Hey,
you're lagging there, buddy.
We're tied with you.
Yeah, he dropped. I knew that was going to happen, and I knew it was a matter of time.
I wanted to ask him about.
I wanted to get Tim's opinion on Oregon State, because my opinion is they should be ranked. They beat at least a good, I wouldn't say great or elite, but they beat a good Boise State at home, obliterated them, and they beat a good, and we talked about it, Fresno State on the road. Could we be looking at a USC Oregon State matchup instead of a USC Utah matchup?
I'm not counting out any of the Pac-12 North teams. This is like it's going to be a good old-fashioned fist fight up there in the Pacific Northwest.
But no divisions.
No divisions, but I mean, it comes down to your overall record. So
Right.
that will play into it. You know, and you're right. I mean, actually, maybe you're right. Maybe it might be two teams from the South, because the North is going to beat the crap out of each other. I like Oregon State. Again, I've been on the Oregon State Beaver bandwagon since the beginning of the season, because this is the fifth year for Jonathan Smith, who I have great regard for as a coach. You know, if he wasn't an ex quarterback for the Beavers, I guarantee you he's getting looks from other bigger programs throughout the country.
Yeah, I had him on my list actually for West Virginia. I know it'll never happen, but he's on the list.
Yeah, I'm sure Mike Riley's also one of his ears saying, "Hey, man, it's maybe making that move is not always the best move for you." But he's great. I like Chance Nolan. I mean, he's really, really, really good. I don't know how, and also a lot of people remember this name, you guys, Deshaun Fenwick. Fenwick's he's a hard runner, and behind that veteran offensive line, he's a big dude. He's gonna put up some big yards. And when SC plays them with Fenwick and that offensive line, that's really got me worried. But it's a shame that they aren't. I think it's just being in the Pac-12. There's not going to that the Beavers aren't going to get that fair shake. They absolutely should be a top 20 team, not even a top 25
Yeah.
team. So it's pretty crazy. A lot can be said also for, Washington State going into Camp Randall and winning.
Yes.
And not even to get a peak. I mean, I think it has something to do with the fact they struggled against Idaho the week before. But if you watch that game, I mean, it was there was a battle of two great defenses, and we expect that, right? Wisconsin's got a great defense, and Washington State, which is crazy for Washington State. You don't usually think of Washington State as having a good defense, but man, they look great. So pretty shocked that both those teams aren't in the top 25.
I actually have Oregon State in my top 15. I added Washington State to my top 25 this week, and I added Texas Tech. I think all three of those teams deserve to be ranked. But Oregon State is the biggest surprise to me. I have them in my top 15. They have impressed me a lot. So for them to not even be in the top 25, I'm like, what are we going by these days? What how are you basing your rankings? Now, if you look at their schedule, for a Pac-12 schedule, this is actually pretty tough. The next game is FCS, so don't worry about that. That's a throwaway. But then after that, they get the Trojans at home. Immediately following that, a road trip to Utah. That's going to be tough. Even if Utah is not as good as what we think they are, it's tough to win at Utah. Then a tricky Stanford on the road. Washington State, who we just talked about, they went on the road and beat Wisconsin. Oregon State gets them at home, but Washington State just proved they can go on the road and beat a good team. Colorado, that's a throwaway game. So far, two throwaway games, all right? So let's count them, two. After Colorado, at Washington, that's probably going to be a loss. California, can we call that a throwaway game?
Yeah, they have no offense.
Yeah, California has no offense, and they're really, really small this year for whatever reason. At Arizona State, I have Arizona State taking a significant step backwards, maybe in danger of missing a bowl, but it is on the road, so technically I can't call that a throwaway. And then finally, Oregon at home. So they only have really 3 throwaway games left on the schedule, and the road at Utah and at Washington, that's tough. And then even their home state, USC, Washington State, and Oregon, that's tough.
Yeah, or when you play either Rice Eccles for Utah, or you play up in Seattle, those are two of the louder stadiums not just in the Pac-12 but in the nation. And
they got to go both of them.
Yeah, those are. But no, I think they have Oregon at home.
Yes,
right.
They end the season with Oregon
So
at home.
that's lucky, but they play at Seattle. They play at on Montlake, and they also play at Rice Eccles. And you have to remember, Utah is a completely different team at home. Completely. Like when they went to Florida,
that was my point earlier. Yes,
and they gave Florida. I mean, Florida kind of got exposed last week, but Florida's a good team. They flew all across the country and lost on very, very uncharacteristic pass. To blow that game through an interception. But you, as a team, you can't count out Utah, especially again at home. So those, and then they get us up there. So that's gonna be really scary for SC as well. Oregon State,
I agree with. Hold on, I agree with Vanity Rose with this, and we appreciate the $5 donation. Says GBD, you left out something. If they get that Miami DB coach talking about Jamil Adai, he brings 6-7 blue chips with him. Yeah, and that's why I was suggesting him being a defensive coordinator. You bring him as a defensive coordinator, and you're still going to get those players. I just don't think he's ready for head coaching duties. But as far as Oregon State goes, I don't like those 2 road games at Utah and at Washington. And like we said earlier, even if they're not as good as what we think they are, those teams are different at home. It is tough to win at Utah and at Washington. And Washington actually looks like they are a much better team than what they were last year.
Yeah, for sure. And a big part of that's Penix. If Penix, the key to this is going to be, we talked about last night on our Pac-12 show, if Penix can take care of the ball, meaning if he doesn't turn it, because he has the propensity to turn into a turnover machine. If he could protect the ball and move it like they have, he's like, I think he's top 10 in yards passing. And again, don't quote me off the top of my head. I think he's like 9 touchdowns and 2 interceptions, I believe, on the year. So I mean, if he can keep those interceptions in check, it's gonna be a hell of a test for them to try to move the ball on the ground against Michigan State. And if they make him one-dimensional, I kind of worry about Penix turning into giving the ball over quite a bit.
I agree with that. But on the flip side, Penix has really changed the offense for Washington. And I thought he would. They just got to worry about keeping him healthy. And if they can, then he's going to be a heck of a weapon. Larry Pilgrim, thank you for the $10 donation, says, can you tell me the offensive yardage of Utah and Kentucky versus Florida? So Utah put 446 yards on Florida. And let's see. And both of these are at Florida, by the way. So I like this is a direct comparison for a road trip to Florida. So
Kentucky was like 270, wasn't it?
Total offense. I'm about to look at that right now. 270 would actually be surprising, but you're right, 272. So Utah actually moving the ball a heck of a lot more against Florida than Kentucky. I think Utah's problem was stalling and turnovers. Let me check the turnovers real quick. Just one turnover, but they stalled in way too many drives, blown opportunities. Kentucky, see, that's the weird thing. Utah put 446 yards on Florida. They lost. Kentucky only put 272, and they won. Somebody explain that to me.
It had to be turnovers.
No. Think of it this way. Florida put up 451 yards against Utah.
Right.
Defense. And then when you look at them against Kentucky, they only put up 279 yards. The reason Utah lost was they let Richardson run. Kentucky did not let him run. So, I mean, even though Utah got more yards, they gave up a lot more yards also.
So it was basically containment.
Yeah, I just looked up. They only had one turnover, too. They only had one turnover, so it wasn't turnovers.
My evil twin, or maybe not evil, but my twin, I guess, blue and gold dude, not gold and blue dude, that's me, but blue and gold dude. Thank you for the $5 donation, says, I'm not going to blue dude. Clearly, you're blue and gold dude, completely different. You could say I'm the reverse Keith Neal Brown.
That's your reverse Flash.
Yeah. And you know what? The people that are saying Keith Neal Brown, they do have an argument. And I am admitting that it is a bit of a knee-jerk reaction to the Kansas loss. But the point about Neil Brown is we're just not seeing improvement. And the argument is, and it used to be my argument last year because people were wanting him fired after last year. And I'm like, he needs more time. And that's always going to be the argument. But when is enough time enough time? When are we done and we're like, okay, he's had enough time? You know, when is that point?
Can I ask you a question, though, about Neil Brown?
Sure.
Will Kentucky, what's the buyout right now, 16 or 20 million?
Right now it's 20. It'll go down to 16 and a half after this year.
Does West Virginia want to pay 16 million to get rid of him?
If we have a really, really bad season, I hope so.
Because I know that, you know, Kentucky had problems wanting to pay Fisher to come.
Right.
So do they want to pay 16 million to get rid of that's my question.
Well, here's the thing. Here's my fear. If we don't get rid of Lyons, we're not getting rid of Neil Brown. And let me preface this by saying what I'm about to say, and that's I'm not trying to throw Neil Brown under the bus. This is all assuming that we don't get it turned around. I hope that we do. I hope that I'm completely wrong, and all this is looking back. Golden Blue was completely wrong. I hope I am. I'm just going by what I've seen. Last year we had a great defense, terrible offense. The offense is much better, but now the defense has taken the significant step backwards. I'm like, when is it all going to be where we need it to be? You know? So assuming that it doesn't get turned around, we're probably going to have to fire Shane Lyons in order to get rid of Neil Brown, because I think he's going to, quote, die by that sword. I really do, because every time something bad happens, he comes out and acts like, you know, that Neil Brown is still the greatest thing ever. And I understand that's his job, but from what I'm getting from the sources inside of West Virginia, Shane Lyons absolutely does not want to fire Neil Brown no matter what. So he might have to go first. I don't know how that works or any buyouts for that, but if we want to get rid of Neil Brown, if it doesn't get turned around, then we'd probably have to go and go get the head first, and then we'd have to, you know, go down from there. Golden Blue Dude says Tim is the worst.
I wonder who he is. I
Yeah.
wonder who this dude is.
Yeah. I have
no
clue.
At least, and you know, warning them right now again. So don't be a smart aleck and do it just because I'm saying this, because you're going to get your butt timed out if you do it. All right. At least he's staying away from mobs. But if he does, he will be timed out. That's ridiculous.
Oh, blue and gold, dude. Thank you for being here, whoever you are. I appreciate your encouragement. I'll try to do better for you.
Yeah, see, that just lit a fire under Tim's rear end.
Thank you for donating your lunch money, as always. We appreciate it.
Hey, Jeff, I got a question for you.
Yeah, I need to get tomorrow.
FPI is big on LSU, but Mississippi State's favored by 2.5 by Caesars. How you feel about that game?
You know, I hate betting against or with Mississippi State.
Oh,
that
man.
team shows up one game and they are awesome, and then the next game you just wonder what happened. And honestly, LSU this year I kind of see in the same boat. Which LSU team shows up? The one that struggled against Florida State, or the one that looked good? I know it was a bad team last week, but they did look good last week. So
what is he helmet?
I would probably say LSU. I would take LSU because LSU is at home. But that's one of them games I could see Mississippi State winning by 20 points if they showed up and played like they could.
Is that a night kick?
I could easily see the Pirate out coaching Kelly. I could easily see that happen. Easily.
Yeah. Where's that game being played?
Isn't it? It's at LSU.
Yeah, see, that's the one thing that makes me hesitant, because even if, you know, Mike Leach is capable of out-coaching him at this moment, and maybe the talent is in favor of Mississippi State, and especially if it's a night game, it is really, really LSU is another one of those teams that's a completely different team at home, you know? So that's a coin flip to me. I wouldn't have – you could have arguments on both sides as to here's why Mississippi State will win, here's why LSU will win. You know, it's one of those type of games.
And you're right, unless they're playing Alabama at home. We're 22,
Right.
22 what?
Unless they're playing Alabama at home.
Yeah.
With Nick Saban.
Now, let me ask you a question, GBD.
Yeah.
Let's say November 5th, because if you want to fire your coach, you got to do it the 1st of November, because now with the signing days, December 15th, the middle of December, you got to have a coach, you got to have recruit. Before then, you're going to play Texas, Baylor, Texas Tech, and TCU. How many of those of those 4 games, how many do you think you win?
How many coins do we have to flip?
Because I think it comes down to those games, because you guys will beat Townsend this week.
Yeah.
And then you play Virginia Tech. So those 2 look realistic like wins. But the next 4, because if you go 2-6 to start the year, is Brown gone?
Yeah. No, but he should be.
But that's my thought. If you're going to fire a coach, and unfortunately with the signing days the way they are now, that's why coaches get fired so early, so they can have a new guy ready and going out recruiting and keeping the recruits.
Here you go, Tim. Blue and Gold dude added again. Tony actually has intelligent arguments and analysis, which we actually agree with that. But Tim just hangs around on streams like the fat kid who always showed up to parties uninvited. Obviously, this guy doesn't comprehend what he's watching, because I could literally take a poll and it would, counting Blue and Gold dude, it would be 0.01% of people that have watched this show with Tim on it that would think that. Literally everybody that I've talked to besides good old Blue and Gold dude do not feel that way. But thanks for donating $5 and trash talking.
He's got a good point. I do. I mean, listen, if anyone knows Tony Altimore, you're going to feel stupid being next to that dude no matter what you say.
He makes everybody feel stupid.
So I mean, I'll take that all day. Yeah, I do feel like the fat dude hate, whatever. I'm not going to fat hate people, but I feel like that guy that nobody, believe me, I get that. I do feel like an extra on a movie when I'm around Tony, because that guy's a shining star. Goddamn brilliant.
Tim, being around Tony about football is like being around Joey in Trivial Pursuit.
I
don't want to do it.
Joey was that good at trivia. I do think that Anthony has a point about Oregon being ranked. I mean, they got absolutely stomped by Georgia. They're ranked number 25, but you have teams like, let's see, Oregon State, Washington State, Texas Tech, even Florida State. I have Florida State number 25, but Oregon is ranked, and they got blown out by 40 points by Georgia. I agree that it's absolutely ridiculous.
Well, and all those teams deserve to be ranked, but think about this. Think of Washington State. They went on the road to Wisconsin, who everybody says Wisconsin is favored to win the Big Ten West. Now, I know the West is down, but they're favored to win the West. So they went into Camp Randall and beat the number 19 team. How are they not ranked?
I agree. Hold on, guys. Somebody in the chat had a good idea, so I'm going to mute me. Y'all take over for a second, all right? No pressure.
But Tim, who do you think deserves to be ranked more? Do you think it's Oregon State, Washington State, or Washington?
Washington, again, as I said when I was talking about Washington State, the issue with Washington State is they've got a great win. Again, anytime you go into a venue like Camp Randall with that kind of a crowd, anytime you go up against you go up against a solid, they might be obviously at this point now the best Big Ten West team that there is. I mean, not much competition, but to come out of Camp Randall with a win on the road, hell yeah, that you deserve to be ranked. But the problem is they lost that game. That's right, they won the game to Idaho, but they held out the Vandals by intercepting a ball in the end zone in order to get that win. So that maybe left a bad taste in people's mouth. Make no mistake, these 3 teams win this week, all 3 will be in the top 25.
Yes.
They just got to keep winning. Again, and it's the Pac-12's own fault, right, Jeff? They dug this hole.
That's true.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So they got to dig their way out of it.
You're punishing Washington State for barely beating the Vandals, which I understand, but you're rewarding Texas A&M for losing at home to App State and keeping them ranked. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Will Klein says, Tim is awesome, and Blue and Gold Dude needs to stop huffing glue. It's a fair point. And then Blue and Gold Dude comes back. Oh, he's taking shots at me now. I don't know what's worse, Golden Blue Dude being a Neil Brown apologist or him being a Tim apologist. Sorry, Tim is probably Neil Brown's little brother. So this guy is really good at creating dots and then connecting those dots. How about that?
So are most psychopaths, but
he's gonna come out. We're gonna come out of this with a picture of a giraffe. I bet you anything. When all the dots are connected.
This guy's weird. He's got more names than he puts it in dollars. So
you think this is okay? Let's. From what I know, there might be more names that I'm missing. If I'm missing any, fill them in. All right, here we go. Judicial Protest, aka Jimmy Touchdown, aka Blue and Gold Dude. Anything did I miss any?
I don't pay that much attention to him, to be honest. I really don't know. I'm glad he's giving you money, man. That's all I care about.
Yeah, and he's not, he's not getting timed out.
Listen, by the way he comports himself, I'm sure this money is more than half of his weekly income. So
yeah,
I say weekly, not monthly, because this dude is living week to week paycheck wise. I'm sure. So, thank you very much for your generous donations. Keep up
but
the good work.
he claims to be an Ivy League grad, so there's that.
Yeah, well, Tony and a couple people busted him on a couple of that. He can't kiss his thing straight. So this guy's not a grad of any sort.
Tony is legit. My gosh, that dude. And I know, anybody. Going back to that comment he said earlier, I mean, if you're going to put up anybody against Tony Altimore when it comes to stats and knowledge of, teams and conferences, we're all going to look stupid, of course. Like, that's no comparison. But in and of his own merit, Tim is actually pretty good and contributes to the show.
The thing with Tony is
what he contributes here. He gets Blue and Gold Dude, a.k.a. Judicial Protest, a.k.a. Jimmy Touchdown, to contribute to the show. That's value right there.
The thing is with Tony is not just his knowledge of football, which he has extensive. His dad is a Hall of Fame award-winning high school coach in Michigan. His uncle is has been a Major League Baseball coach with the Mets and the Angels. The guy knows sports, but he also knows the university system. And we're talking about a guy that it's an Ivy. This guy is legitimately Ivy League. He's got his MBA at Wharton. So again, I don't have any issue tipping my hat to Tony anytime.
Yeah, and Tony can tell you almost every school's president, and I mean he's just has a vast knowledge of everything relating to college. I mean,
I feel stupid every time I talk to him. When I make a video and any little thing is wrong, and when he messaged me about it, he's not like looking down on me. He just points stuff out. I was like, man, now I wish I hadn't made that video because he's right. I completely flipped that on the wrong side. That's how good he is.
But Tony's not CIA, but he also has worked. He has government clearance. He has worked for the U.S. government abroad. So yes, again, we can go on and on talking about Tony. So if you want to get your $5 worth of telling me I'm not as far as Tony, go right ahead. I'm not going to argue with you. Go right ahead.
$20 worth. Hey, that's even better, right? You think Tony has worked in the space program?
We're going to start doing it. We're getting close to making Tony. If Tony falls in water, he doesn't get wet. The water gets Tonyed. I mean, we're going to start going to that level pretty soon. So I mean,
Tony for president in 2024.
Tony reminds me of the guy that puts the satellites together.
That's what I was thinking right there. That's that's literally what that space age comment was based on. Absolutely. Yes, I would. He probably has like a majority share of like Apple or Samsung or something like that. Like he's one of the founders that he's like, just don't mention me. Don't mention me.
Now we're getting more towards like Dr. Jordan Bowman. Tony's the kind of guy, if you have any kind of organization and you want it to be successful, you give Tony a call. That's the Tony. I know. Exactly
right. That dude is, man, freaking genius. So is there any other significant possible upsets that could happen. I know we've talked about Utah, and if you would have asked me at the beginning of the season, I would have said maybe they could make it interesting. I'm talking about San Diego State at number 14, Utah, but now seeing San Diego State, they got beat in their first game against Arizona. They have a terrible offense, a so-so defense. I mean, is there a drop in the bucket worth a chance for San Diego State to go on the road and pull off the shocker and upset Utah?
Not at Utah.
No, not
I
at
could give
Utah.
them a 1% or 2% at home, but not going into Utah.
So you think there's a bigger chance of Arizona making the ball over San Diego State beating Utah?
Yeah.
Yes.
We're safe with that. All right, works
But
for
I
me.
will tell you, though, talking about Arizona, they play North Dakota State this weekend, and that could actually probably be one of the best games of the weekend. I mean, that Arizona has improved, but North Dakota State, I mean, they're North Dakota State. So
I always feel bad for teams that schedule North Dakota State because, hey, this is our FCS throwaway. No, it's not. You scheduled North Dakota State. Bad decision, guys. Bad. I don't care if it's home, away, on the moon. I don't know. Bad decision. All right.
Yeah, they on the schedule to potential upset.
All right. Yeah, I'm going to allow this because we'll have something for him. Blue and Gold Dude, the anti-Gold and Blue Dude. Thank you for the $10 donation, bro. Hey, bro. I pulled them 7 figs. Sorry, Tim. You have to teach kindergarten with a USC degree. LOL at Golden Blue Dude, allowing Tim on his stream making fun of poor people. When did I do that? Classy for a guy who swept gas pumps.
I don't know how to respond to that. All right, great. Thank you very much for your $10, bro.
I know who this is now, by the way. I know who this is.
Very
Yeah,
angry.
that had like a. Did I articulate that correctly as far as the way I said it? Did that come off right? When did I make fun of poor people? By the way, I've never done that.
I think he's referring to me in my comment about his big. He ponied up and he got $10 this time.
Yeah. Okay.
I'll be impressed when it's $50.
Hold on. Going back to what Tim did say, the week-to-week paycheck thing, he wasn't making fun of. He's just saying the way you're talking, you're acting like you're desperate for attention. That's all he was saying. Like,
believe me, there's
a lot of people that live week to week on paychecks. Like,
when I was going through grad school, I was living day to day.
Right.
So I'm not taking cracks on that. I'm saying the way you comport yourself, you don't sound like a very successful human being.
There you go. Exactly. And that's not making fun of week to weeks. I mean, we've all been through that. I mean, that's honestly, I think that's like unless you're born into a rich family, like that, it's like a testing part of your life. You know, everybody has to go through it. All right, let's go through your initiation. Can you make it through your week-to-week paycheck lifestyle? Let's go.
I just worry you give this guy a little too much attention on a football show. This guy's screaming for attention, and you should appreciate the donation, acknowledge it, and then let's get back to football.
Yeah, I kind of get that. That's the way my brain works too. That's something that I try to fix, but I can't. I don't know why. Anyways, all right, back to football, as Tim said. Interesting. I actually think this is going to be a lock. This might surprise some people, but I think this is a lock, okay? Check out this spread. Louisiana Tech at number 5 Clemson. Clemson laying 34. I think that it is a lock to take Louisiana in the 34 points because of the offensive struggles that Clemson has. Now, do I think Louisiana Tech is going to upset Clemson? Absolutely not. No way. But did you watch Clemson against Furman? Did you watch Clemson against Georgia Tech? I think that could be a lock as far as taking the points with Louisiana Tech. Am I crazy, y'all, or can y'all see that as well?
How many points is Louisiana Tech scoring? Would be my question. I don't know that off the top of my head.
They are scoring 38 points per game, which is the same as Clemson.
Okay, so I mean they do have an offense. I mean 38 points no matter who you play. That's a good offense. So yeah, maybe that is a little too high.
Yeah.
Well, the thing is, though, remember, you guys, 38 points. They scored 30 points against whom? So this issue is that front seven with Brian Brise and the linebacker. I'm drawing a blank on right now. That front seven is not your typical front seven. That is a championship level front seven, and I just don't. the way their offense has been playing, it's been kind of weird. DJ is improving every game. It looks like Bo Collins is going to be that receiver that he has been missing. Anytime you have a nice, reliable Paul receiver like that, you're going to be able to put up points. I don't know. I'm not sold on Clemson's offensive line. That's the one thing that really seems to be holding back this team. If they can get that sorted out, they'll be fine. I think they should be able to cover that line, though. I don't see them scoring on Clemson's defense.
I got you. Well, the biggest thing wasn't the Georgia Tech. Hold on. Let me make sure I get this right. It was on ESPN.com. All right. It was the Furman game. Clemson wouldn't have covered this spread against Furman. They beat Furman 35-12. That's what has me concerned with this line, and it's why I think it's a lock as far as Louisiana Tech covering the spread. I mean, if they can't cover it against Furman, that leads me to believe, I mean, Louisiana Tech has to be better than Furman, right?
Yeah.
And it's the same venue in Clemson, and I don't think the crowd is going to be all, nuts and jacked up. It's going to be a group of 5 team. So, yeah, it'll be home field, but it's not going to be like, they're playing a Georgia at home or, this year it'd be in Miami because Miami's one of the best. So I think the atmosphere is not going to be like down your throat. You're not going to score anything. I think Louisiana Tech will put some points on the board and cover the spread. I think we're looking at a similar, honestly, I would call a similar score for Furman, maybe a 38-17 type of game.
Man, them Raging Cajuns, they're about like the App State, so you got to watch them too.
Yeah, well, if it was Louisiana, that would be different, but this is Louisiana Tech. They're not quite as good as Louisiana, but they are still in Cajun country, so it still holds true what you just said. Will Klein, thank you for the $10 donation. He's taking a shot at blue and gold, dude. Uh-oh, might have a back and forth. Tim is actually knowledgeable. Yes. You, on the other hand, is just a dweeb. Yeah, I mean, seriously, and I know I'm going to get back to football, Tim, I promise. But if you look at Blue and Gold Dudes, a.k.a. whoever, his comments in the chat, all it is taking shots. Like, he's not really shown any knowledge. So,
listen,
yeah,
I worked in banking for 20. I worked for banking almost 20 years, and I was at my kid's soccer game. That's what I was doing. I was actually embarrassed of that profession. I have never once a day in my life ever been embarrassed of being a school teacher. So come at me, bro, anytime you want.
Why would that be embarrassing? You're educating.
I don't know, man. Best move I ever made in my life.
Yeah. And actually, my grandparents, they retired as teachers, and they made some really good choices with their finances. And I'm telling you, you would not think that they are retired teachers, because they made some good choices. So it's not about the job that you have; it's about the decisions that you make with the money that you're making. That's what it comes down to. So there's not only is there no shame in being a teacher, I would think that that's like an honor to be a teacher, because you're doing a service, like, for, it could be his kids if he has kids.
Well, I think that's why
our country is messed up in a way, though, because some of the most important jobs in the United States don't pay anywhere near what they deserve to pay. And
look at how many kids are in these classrooms now because of the staff shortages. Like, there's a need there.
Yep.
Well, I'll tell you this. Again, the banking paid for my house. I live in Southern California very comfortably. Thank you very much. But the teaching is going to pay my way back into heaven after being a banker for 20 years. I didn't mess anyone up. I was on an organizational level. I didn't work on anyone's personal accounts. But believe me, that's part of the reason why I had to get out of banking, because I could tell you guys stories, but I won't.
But I always tip my hat to teachers. I mean, you're molding young minds. A lot of times teachers raise kids a lot more than the parents raise kids.
I spend more time with them.
You do, and I mean, you look at our country, it's kind of backwards. Teachers make so little, military makes so little. The important jobs, they don't pay.
Right. No, and again, I appreciate all this, you guys, and you're spot on. But remember, let's go back to football.
Well, I was going to bring up this last spread. Here we go. And it might not seem interesting off the, at a glance, but I think it could be. And that is Toledo at number 3, Ohio State. Both of these teams are 2-0. The spread is 32. I actually think Toledo covers this. They're coming into this game averaging 46 points per game and allowing, you ready? 5 points per game. That's third in the nation. I'm not saying that Toledo is going to upset Ohio State, not by a long shot. But right now, Ohio State's offense is averaging 33 points per game. That's 70th. Not good. Defense a little bit better, almost top 20. I could almost call that a lock. And in my spread pick, which I'll put it out tomorrow, I did take Toledo and the points. Would y'all feel good about taking Toledo and the points with that situation?
CJ Stroud, not and those receivers. That's scary.
No.
They're just.
But look at the first game against Notre Dame. Yes, Notre Dame has good defense, but at the same time, they only put 21 points. And I'm not saying that Toledo's not going to put up points. I think they will. I just think Toledo's going to put up some points as well.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think the issue with both. So the thing with Notre Dame is they're all defense and no offense. I mean, their offenses. Let's face it. Now,
Yeah.
I'm not even going to the fact that I have Pine as a quarterback now. I'm not even talking. So there's why I struggled there. But Ohio State with Travion Henderson, dude's one of the best running backs in the country. Those receivers and CJ Stroud, I just think that's gonna be too much. You're right. That's a big spread. But I mean, if there's a team in this country that's an offense that can get that spread, it's gonna be a team like OSU. So I think that's a pretty good line. I don't know. It's kind of I don't think I'd touch it actually because I don't know which way I'd go on that one.
Well, I'm taking Toledo in the points. I'm sticking with it. Aaron Alley, big $20 donation. Appreciate that. And a super chat to go along with it says, and an extra donation. Appreciate it, buddy. Is that GD? GD pick. I made you. Hold on. Let me read this right. GD pick. I made for you. I'm going to put it in and send it to. Okay. I'm guessing he has a pick for me and he's going to send it. Gotcha. Sometimes autocorrect is rough, but yeah.
Now,
and he's donated in the past, so he's a great supporter of Gold and Blue. Whatever it is, buddy, send it to the PO box, and I'll be more than happy to put it on my back wall. Absolutely, buddy, I got you.
Now,
Robert Borchett,
Ohio State's corners, I believe they will get a couple interception pick sixes because they're very talented.
Yeah. I think Ohio State's defense is, and that's the weird thing about this year. Last year, Ohio State's defense was a liability. It was bad. This year, it looks like the strength of the team. And this is what I was talking about in the preseason. People didn't realize and weren't believing me on how big Knowles going from Oklahoma State to Ohio State. And what has happened? We see Oklahoma State's defense not as good, taking a step back from last year. On the flip side, Ohio State's defense looks completely different.
Yeah.
Now,
and they're going to get better every game.
but not that big of a difference. Was anybody thinking that this was going to happen?
No.
And I've been wondering. What are you guys' thoughts on this? Because of the COVID seasons, those super seniors that were around last year, and usually some of there's schools like Oklahoma and Ohio State, Alabama, Georgia, the really good players, they aren't there past their third year. And some of the schools like, Oklahoma State, you've got great players, but not quite maybe NFL guys. So they'll come around for that fourth year. And heck, you want to give me a fifth year? I'll take a fifth year for a red shirt. And hey, maybe in a sixth year with that COVID year. So I'm wondering, not necessarily, Oklahoma State itself, but just across the country. We saw a lot of teams last year normally that aren't beating. There are a lot of upsets, so I say. Even this year, there's a lot of upsets. I'm wondering how much of that has to do with these extra years players are getting.
Yeah, agreed. And I didn't even put two and two together. That makes sense. One more question before we get out of here, guys. One more question, okay? If, and this is a big if, but if Kansas goes on the road to Houston, do they get ranked?
I think they almost have to.
I would say they
deserve, but the question isn't do they deserve. Do you think that they actually get ranked by the AP poll?
They would deserve.
Good story,
But the problem is I would say yes, they deserve it, but the problem is, who else wins?
Right.
You know, does Washington end up beating Michigan State? So that's going to put them in. Who
And I'm
deserves
saying yes
be
to
in.
that, by the way.
You know, does Oregon State look really great this weekend? And that put, you know, there's too many teams that aren't in that deserve to be in, and there's too many teams that don't deserve to be in but are in. So how do they play would determine, to me, with Kansas.
Well, and I think Oregon gets beat by BYU, so that's going to open up a spot right there. But does Washington take that spot? And because I think Washington beats Michigan State. So
yeah, I think
that happens.
I think
Washington's getting ranked for sure, no doubt.
You guys nailed it. There's too many teams ahead of them. You know, even Appy State's kind of hovering on the edge of the top 25. You know, you get a win. You get a win for Mississippi State. They're on the edge of the top 25. Florida State, Oregon State, Washington State, or Oregon State. All these guys are right on the edge. So yeah, do they deserve to be? If they beat Houston, yeah, I would think that they're showing. But again, they just got to keep winning, and I think Kansas will. I don't know if they'll have enough wins though. You know, I don't know if they'll have enough wins though to get in that top 25. They could try to sneak in, but I just don't see it happening.
Yeah, I think they will get to a bowl. And as a spoof question, kind of a rib to myself, how many wins in a row does West Virginia have to have in order to get ranked?
Yeah.
5.
I would say 6, honestly. 6.
And I watched one of your videos today, and somebody on there was talking, and I actually responded to them. They were talking about Vanderbilt being the worst team in the Power 5.
Not this year.
And I'm like, no, you need to actually go back and look at the records. That belongs to either South Carolina, who never made it to a bowl game until the 90s, or Iowa State, whose last championship, a big conference championship, was 1912.
Yeah, South Carolina's a good argument. And I would say Bill Snyder, Kansas State, they were historically bad. Guys, it doesn't seem like we've been on here for an hour and a half, over an hour and a half, but we have. So I got to wrap this up. Kids got to go to bed, Friday, then the weekend. Tomorrow, we're not going to worry about this, but tonight, got to get off here. But as usual, last word of the day. First, we're going to go to Kenny. And before I let you say your last word, Kenny, I promise I am going to put that we're going to make sure people get a hold of that video that you made for Golden Blue for the 10,000. So we got you, man. We got you. But what is your last word of the day, buddy?
I want to say West Virginia needs to get together, stop all the mistakes, keep their everything in front of them, attack more, look for the ball, and just beware of the misdirections. Don't lose your assignment.
Yeah.
Yes, and play with more energy. Come more fired up. You know.
Absolutely. Good job, buddy. That was actually a pretty good last word. Good job, man. We'll go to Tide Guy. What's your last word, man?
I'm going to remind everybody that if you haven't joined Patreon, please do. You can do it for as less as $2 a month. And let me tell you what, later tonight, Joey's going to do a show. He did it on Thursdays, but he said starting next week, it's going to be on Sundays. You do get a lot of extra content. That show is really good. We talk about the games coming up. We talk about the games that it had. And also you get discounts on merchandise. So, I mean, it's not just, for the extra shows. You do get discounts. You do get perks. Plus, you can win $20 a week if you get the prediction right. So Go ahead, spend that $2, $5. I'm telling you, it's
I know I'm biased about this, but I think we have some good perks for our Patreon page. I really do.
Oh, yeah. All right, guys. You guys have a great night.
All right, buddy. Appreciate you. It looks like blue and gold, dude. Tim's going to get the last laugh. What is your last word, Tim?
Well, no, my last word is I love coming on your show because you have a great community. And you guys like Savage Dog and Vanny Rose, Larry Pilgrim. There's a bunch of guys today who are donating. Will Klein.
Yeah.
Just excellent. Oh, Aaron Alley, obviously. We just talked to him.
Aaron Alley, yes.
Just a really great community, but not even guys that are contributing, the guys that are on your Patreon tonight. Again, like Jeff said, we're gonna have the the Patreon chat. You guys are all more than welcome to join. Just for $2 a month, you guys come in and we get to shrink the room down a little bit and really get your involvement. So I hope you guys take advantage of Joey and Jeff and I tonight getting together just to chat football with you guys. Really appreciate seeing everyone's nice comments. And again, I'm looking forward to another great. I mean, can we have a replay of last weekend? It was just such an amazing weekend last week. Let's see what we can do this week. But
well, one thing's for sure, Tim. At least you know you have a community that has your back when somebody does come after you.
Yeah, you know, I mean, if you're gonna stick your face on a camera on YouTube, you gotta know you're gonna get a bunch of crap. I mean,
Yep.
I'm not the kind of guy that's gonna make me sad. Some anonymous dude behind a keyboard. Don't worry, that's not really gonna make me worry. I just like the opportunity to interact. I mean, I probably do more chatting in your chat than I do actually talking here on your show. Met some really cool people.
By the way, I know who that dude is now. Like, I know who it is.
Oh, really?
Yeah, like I know his actual name. Yeah.
I'm sorry you actually know that guy in real life or whatever, or just know who he is. But again, just a great time. Appreciate you having me on here and loving interacting with your community because this is what you know, this is how I like to enjoy my weekend. So I think this weekend's gonna be great. We'll have a lot to talk about next week.
Absolutely, buddy. Well, I appreciate you contributing to the show, man. Awesome job as usual. Good job. Y'all check out the Patreon show, and if you're not a Patreon, go check that out. You can join for as little as $2 a month. That's it, $2 a month. And by the way, that comment that what's his name, Blue and Gold dude, that made earlier as far as sweeping gas pumps. Yeah, that was actually one of my jobs. I was a maintenance worker on the outside of a gas station, so that kind of gave you away. I know who you are now. But like, what's the problem with that? Like, I didn't understand that. It was a shot, but it didn't make sense. Does that make sense? Anyways, on the way out, make sure to hit the like button because even though we won't be live anymore, it still helps the video hit the YouTube algorithm, gets it suggested more people see it, more people click on it, and it gets more views. So if you haven't hit the like button, please do that on the way out. Appreciate everybody that stopped by and hung out with us. Everybody that commented, joined on the StreamYard, super chatted, hit the like button. All of you guys, we definitely appreciate you. And everybody that sends mini helmets and pennants and T-shirts and signs. This is a great show because of you guys. I mean, you're literally watching a great YouTube channel be built by the channel members. Like, you guys are literally building this, okay? So give yourselves a round of applause. It's looking great. The design, we have the design of the shelving that we want in the background to display the mini helmets. So once that's done, I'm telling you, it's going to be very, very awesome. So if you haven't sent anything to represent your team, anything, mini helmet, pennant, shirt, whatever, send it to, you ready? Write it down. P.O. Box 360, Liberty, South Carolina, 29657. And I'll be checking the mailbox once again. I mean, every time I check it for this past week, there has been something. So it's almost like Christmas Day now. Every day I go to the mailbox. What's going to be there now? And today was 2 mini helmets. Like, wow, that was awesome. Anyways, hopefully you were entertained. And hopefully, just for a little while, you forgot about some of the stresses and you know, regular life stuff that goes on. You know what I'm talking about. So if that happened, then I've done my job. And we'll see you tomorrow because we will be doing a live show. I just don't know when. So make sure to have the notification bell ring. That way you know when I go live. And if you're not a subscriber and you're a college football fan, like, what are you waiting on? This is what we do every day. And I don't proclaim to be an expert. I'm a college football fan talking about college football, trying to be entertaining. That's what this channel is. All right, guys. Y'all have a good Thursday night. And we'll see you sometime tomorrow. I just don't know what time.